up, we have Diana Lund. She's taught college mathematics, worked at Bell Labs and Motorola. But after suffering a brain injury from an automobile accident and losing her memory, she had to fight her way back to recovery. Her first two memoirs, Remind Me Why I'm Here and A Waking Mind, were about that experience. She's currently working on a memoir about her parents. Please welcome her to the mic.
All right, I have to follow Vince. I'm going to read an excerpt from a book in progress. It's a story that takes place in the summer of 1979 during a week-long river raft trip. I go with my dad and my younger sister, Susan. Our guide is Robbie. There are 3 boats, though. There's 16 people. And so this starts off with the trip on the first day. The morning quiet, but for the sound of oars dipping in and out of water and the occasional yelp and swatting of a black fly, we settled into our surroundings. Our boats moved at a good pace due to the strong current, the strong silent type. The sun rose in the sky and the heat began to accumulate. About an hour into our trip, a plateau closed us in on one side of the river, and then a second plateau closed up the other side. Our expansive view of the land disappeared. Suddenly, inside a canyon, we had tunnel vision that followed the curvy river. Our raft slid in and out of shadow. Robbie asked, "Is anyone interested in rowing?" "I am," I volunteered. I was never one to sit idly for too long. Robbie took the oar blades out of the water and rested them on the boat's sides. He scooted over on a seat and said, "Then come up and join me." I sat down next to him. Robbie started, "Diana, you're math, right?" We had already established that we were both going to be juniors in college, him majoring in geology and me math. I smiled. Nobody had called me math before. "Right." Then I called out, "Dad, I get that from you." Dad turned and winked at me. I gave Dad more props. He's a human calculator, much faster than me. I'm more conceptual. Robbie replied, "So you're a math family." My sister, not wanting to be in the same boat as us, even though she was in the same boat as us, made it clear, "God, no, just them." Robbie laughed at his faux pas. "Okay, clear on that." He turned his head to me and went on, "Here's the math question I have for you. Do you know what vectors are?" "Yes. A vector has a direction and a magnitude." "Great. What I do is envision a vector field above the river. At each point on the water, I immediately saw arrows pointing in the direction of the current, its length indicating the current's strength there." "I get it. Vectors will tell you which direction and how fast your boat will go without steering. You're a quick study." "Both of my daughters are smart," Dad injected. "One math," I said. "Susan, complete this sentence. One, not," Susan shot back. "Both smart," I emphasized, and we all chuckled. "Dare I say that you are a fun family," Robbie ventured. "Dad, he dared." "Son, why step in it twice?" Dad's words of wisdom had us laughing some more. So that was the start of our relationship with our guide, Robbie. Next I'm going to talk a little bit more about the place, and it's the next morning. Even with the flies, the morning so calm and the rafts all in shadow, a sense of peace blanketed us all. If someone spoke, it reverberated off the water and canyon walls, the voice crystalline. With such high quality of sound, the words needed elevation into the profound to match. Here's a poem, Sacred World. "Oh, sacred world of ours, where painted rock bridge the water to the sky, and the current moves us swiftly, swiftly, threading our rafts between sandstone towers. The remote quietness erases the space between me and you and the world, as though my skin no longer contains me, nor yours you. Indelibly, All there is, I am. You are. I felt perfectly content to enjoy the moment in silence. Such a pleasant way to wake up to the day. Who needs coffee? Although it was provided. Now I jump to the last night of the trip. After chores, we gathered around the campfire for our last night together. The barbershop quartet, with their amazing harmonies, wowed us one last time. Robbie followed their act and serenaded the group on his guitar with classics like Eagles' Peaceful Easy Feeling and Neil Young's Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. He had a smooth voice and could strum, and I admired him for his talent. As the group began to break up for the evening, Robbie asked me to hang back. I waited for him to put his guitar in its case. Then he accompanied me to my campsite. At some point he asked, "Do you have any hidden talents?" I thought about that some. I was a solid athlete and he could see that. I was a top student in math and he knew that from talk about vectors. Then I remembered that I liked to write and did well in creative writing in high school. I said, "I can make up a story." "I want to hear one of your stories." "Now?" "Yes, now would be good." "Oh gosh," I stammered. What I meant to say was I could write stories. He was looking at me with intense interest in his eyes, and I didn't want to disappoint. When we arrived to my outdoor bedroom, I said, "Okay, let's have a seat." I shared the space with my sister and father, their sleeping bags flanking mine. Susan and Dad were already lying down, awake, but ready for bed. I sat in my sleeping bag, and Robbie sat next to me. After taking a moment to come up with something, I began. Jeremiah didn't know exactly what it meant to be a man. Yet the ceremony anointing him as such was fast approaching. So he set out on his own, away from his tribe, to think about it. He walked up the hillside, away from the river, and into the deep woods. It was there that he spotted a solo bear with fur the same color of brown as his skin, not yet fully grown, nor a youngin'. Their eyes locked, and they looked deep inside each other, reaching the fear each had of having to take on a grown-up role. Were they ready? Were they worthy? The boy said, "Bear, I believe in you, and that gives me hope that I can become a man." Jeremiah returned to camp a little more bolstered for his new role. This is a rather long story, so let me just get to the end. At the ceremony, Jeremiah presented his carved tree to the elders along with his story. "Fathers," he asked, "do you think I am ready to be a man?" The eldest elder replied, "You are a king among men." I ended the story, and that is how Jeremiah invented the totem pole. The guide clapped softly. "You have a special gift." "Yeah, Diana, that was good," my sister said, giving me a rare compliment. Obviously, she had overheard the whole tale. I didn't know that I could come up with a story on the fly like that, a talent hidden even from myself, and I had thought of my writing ability as average. But the look in Robbie's eyes, and he was a gifted orator himself, and the melting of his heart told me otherwise. He couldn't help himself but to pull me close and kiss me. My sister was so close that she was almost touching me. My dad's proximity to Robbie as near as I was to Susan. I admired Robbie, a college man, a natural teacher who was teaching us geology in the field all day long, every day. I too taught a class, Introduction to Psychology, indoors, at college. I kissed him back since over the last 6 days of constant time with him, I had become interested. Yet, who kisses someone for the first time in front of her family? Why couldn't I stop myself? Horrifyingly, our display of ardor grew worse. The awkwardness of kissing while sitting on the ground forced us to naturally shift our positions to lying down. Then I really felt embarrassed and turned red. Not that Robbie noticed in the darkness amid his preoccupation with me. When I pulled away, I whispered, "Let's go somewhere else." the heat pouring off my skin, probably crimson now, since Dad certainly heard that too. Yet Dad let us go without comment. We moved down to the beach by the river. The moon shone brightly and lit up the rapids, whose roar shut out other night sounds. Like a confluence, his spirit and my spirit merged into oneness, creating something more powerful than either of us as a single entity. We both felt that mystical phenomenon amidst our romance with kisses and touch. The night begged us to rest up for the most challenging day of the trip, a daunting journey over Class 4 rapids. The ferocious current amid boulders could kill someone if we weren't alert and reactive, and even if we were. Time pressing down, we didn't stay as long as we wanted. I slunk back to my sleeping bag and quietly slipped myself inside and fell asleep with stars in my shut eyes, under a sky bursting with stars, the water rushing nearby. New chapter, knocked around. In the morning, I awoke to find my father and sister already up and eating breakfast. I quickly joined them. Dad said, "Come here. I want to talk with you." Uh-oh, I thought. I'm in trouble for kissing and running off with our guide. I had not intended to act on my feelings for Robbie, but had let myself get swept up in the moment. He started, "Robbie isn't who you think he is." Huh? I found out that he got a girl pregnant. Diana, they met on a river raft trip. He paused. "She hasn't had the baby yet." He paused. "They're not together anymore, but you need to steer clear of him." Dad was known to investigate our boyfriends, but here we were in the middle of nowhere, with no outside communication, and he still managed to find stuff out. "How do you know this?" "Jane told me. Just thought you should know." "Yeah, now I know." That kiss blew up in my face in an unforeseen way. "Be careful." "Well, nothing's going to happen. We're rafting over rapids, and then after today, I'll never see him again. We were both students at colleges more than 1,000 miles apart. Yet I still liked him and couldn't unwind my feelings that quickly. I'd heard Dad confirm that Robbie didn't have a girlfriend, my litmus test to determine if a man was available. And I set aside the baby forthcoming part because I didn't want it to be true. Running late, I hurried to eat and packed up my campsite and walked down to the beach where the group was gathered. The guides were in the raft securing items, and I handed over my 2 bags to Robbie. "Last night was great," he spoke softly to me. "Yeah, it was for me too."